And welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on this morning. Now, I have a special guest from Gary, Indiana, and I'm so glad that this individual reached out to me on X just to give a perspective that the national news really isn't reporting. So let me bring him up right now. Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you? I'm
Good,
hard.
good. Thank you so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. So please introduce yourself. Let us know where we can follow you on social media. And please just share boots on the ground what you've seen in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, it's Vino Collins, man. I'm from Fifth Ave, Gary, Indiana. It's uh known known block, known strip in Gary. We large community, multi-generational, man. So
Mhm.
Vino Collins on all platforms. It's not even about me right now. This is about the city. And I want the city to get all the light and all the attention that it's been deserving way before this catastrophe ever happened.
Mhm. Wow. So, we were talking briefly, and you were telling me and letting me know that you just got electricity. And there are still people without electricity. Now, everybody needs to realize this has been since August 11th. It's now the 20th. It's now after the 11th.
It is the 20th. It's
Yeah.
August 20th. So this is really the 10th day. I count the 11th.
Okay.
That's when the power went out. It was
Gotcha.
100 something mile per hour winds. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like it
Wow.
was insane. I was out when it was happening. And it didn't seem like it was gonna be this type of it's been storms, but it was crazy. And it's a lot of things that people are saying about, oh well, the infrastructure and things like that. Yeah, I don't know if any place in the Midwest was ready to see 100 mile per hour plus winds. That's like when they
Yeah.
when they they converted. That's like a F2 hurricane almost.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
Inland.
yeah, it was crazy. It was and so yeah, it's widespread destruction across the entire Northwest Indiana. Um, the problem is, I knew the second day I made this post. I said, "Hey, we're on our own out here. Trump
Wow.
is not coming. FEMA is not coming. They're not coming." And I knew this from the start, but I kind of had my reservations in saying it openly because it's a morale thing, and some people still haven't seen the end of it, but
Wow.
thankfully there is more. The city is getting more light and just more shine, and we need to bring a lot of these matters to attention. A lot of these things and a lot of the narratives and propaganda that you see coming out now about Gary existed for decades before this.
Yeah.
So a lot of the outcry and a lot of the things that you hearing from people like me and a whole bunch of Garyites is that these problems and a lot of this shit has always existed. We've always been neglected through benign neglect from uh, the Republican and the Democratic Party. Um, Gary is a historic city
Yeah.
and an important city in American history.
Right.
And the only reason that Gary has been neglected to this point is because it's a staple in Black American history. It's 85, 90% Black. Um, it's so many layers to what's going on. And um, the worst part is that this wasn't reaching headline news or being widespread until they say people shot at the utility workers.
Wow.
That's the story that was being said. Um, and the interesting thing is to me is that I have sources within NIPSCO and other utility companies in Northwest Indiana. There are a lot of people that working within NIPSCO that don't believe this story because when they posted the evidence, there was pushback against the
Right.
initial report. Because, come on, you're not gonna see. You're not gonna see us shooting at the people. We need our stuff just like everybody else.
Right.
But that's one of the narratives is that,
Mm.
oh well, these black people, and it's all black Americans in Gary. It's
Mm-hmm.
all black. It's all black Americans, you know. So they
Wow.
want to put the narrative out there, like, leave them in the dark. It was people in surrounding areas saying, "Well, now I hope you'll bring those services to where we're at because they don't appreciate you out there," and blah blah blah. That's the narrative that's being pushed. Um, when NIPSCO showed receipts, their evidence of this actually happening, it was a Jeep Compass. They showed a Jeep Compass with the windows out. Now, me, I'm seeing utility trucks all around, and Jeep Compasses don't work on power lines.
Oh.
I've never seen a Jeep Compass working on a power line. The way they made it seem was though they were in a bucket getting work. We need more evidence. I'm calling NIPSCO to task. I want Vince Parisi, the CEO, Eddie Melton, the mayor of Gary. We want this to be. We want to see. We want to see if this is a reason why NIPSCO was cutting back their restoration efforts. Then I'm calling NIPSCO, Eddie Melton, the Gary Police. Um, Lake County Sheriff's Department. I'm calling all them to task to show this, to show their evidence of this investigation. We don't have a suspect. We don't have a description. We have nothing. But word that somebody was shooting at those good old workers that were out there trying to help us.
Mm. Almost like making it seem, and this is just my tinfoil hat right now, and my audience knows I will put it on
Oh, mine is
to
on. Mine is on.
right to divert, right, to divert help and resources to Gary because Gary's dangerous. If you go inside of the city limits, you might harm may come to you if you try to help these individuals. That's the perspective, in my opinion, and the narrative that they were trying to drive forward. And a lot of people, because I grew up in Los Angeles, right? And it was the Shrine Auditorium when they had the Academy Awards. But if it was a shooting, it was South Central. South Central is
Right.
nowhere near the Shrine Auditorium.
Mm.
I guarantee you. It's about 45 minutes away. Okay? It's
That's
nowhere
how it
near it.
works. Yeah, that's how they do it. We got a casino that's come up here, the Hard Rock Casino. We have a Hard Rock Casino in Gary, Indiana. And you might
Wow.
not ever know that because the Hard Rock and their organizations, their corporations, whatever, refuse to call it the Hard Rock Gary. It's called the
Mm,
Hard Rock Northern Indiana.
right. That is
Um,
so crazy.
yeah, and that's why when I first reached out to you, I said, don't believe the initial reports about just Gary just descending into just chaos and
Right.
lawlessness in the dark. These
Hmm.
these 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 crazy black Americans they're just chaotic out there and
Mm,
and just don't step in the city limits. Um it was and we have people like the layers get crazy to where we have people that have migrated from Gary. We have suburbs of Gary, right? You might see stories and you might see people saying it's not just Gary with the power out. It's not. But Gary had over 45, over 98% of the power was out in Gary. Now
wow.
they were doing restoration efforts elsewhere and they were getting theirs quicker. But there is a suburb of Gary that's over 60% black called Maryville. And most
Okay.
of their power is still out. They are getting some power restored too. But
Wow.
Gary is over 65% black, a suburb of Maryville, a suburb of the Gary suburb of Maryville.
Okay.
And they're getting power back. But most of the areas that are populated with black people, this area is predominantly, if you meet any of us, they're gonna be Black American.
Wow.
Our people were working in the steel mills, migrated from the South. So this is a very historic area. Even where I'm at on Fifth, it's a historic. They have historic apartments where
Wow.
where I can see there's gentrification efforts going on in Gary as we speak, to where It was 90. Gary was over 90% black. Then it went to 80. Now it's 85. But
Mhm.
there are people from all around, from Chicago,
Mhm.
from Indianapolis, people from everywhere in the Midwest buying property in Gary.
Mhm.
When they talk
Yeah,
about the abandoned buildings, we have people that own millions of dollars worth of property in Gary that refuse to update their properties or bring it up to code because,
that's the business model right there. You just gonna buy
yep,
it till it's really, really run down,
yep,
and then somebody will come back and they will build upon it pennies on the dollar in restoration efforts. Right? Let me say
yes,
that with air quotes.
yep. There's a lot of you see, and I stress to everybody that I can, like nobody, none of us should sell any property in Gary because
No.
what happens is, things might happen. But I see a lot of people that I know, they might move out to surrounding suburbs,
Mhm.
Portage, Lake Station, Griffith, etc.
Right.
Eventually, um, they got eyes on Gary since way before
Yeah.
since even before the pandemic. Gary
Yeah.
was labeled by Business Insider as the most
Mhm.
miserable city in America. It's labeled as the most miserable city in America. Now, it's a lot of hardworking people that
Mhm.
that enjoy their lives. I mean, yeah, we have neglect. Nobody, we're a city that's been left behind by
Wow.
by commerce, by our own government in Indiana. When the mayor came up to Gary, now we're an urbanized area. He came up to Gary and he said, "I'm thinking of calling, making it a statewide emergency." I'm thinking he had the nerve to come up to Gary, Governor Braun. I'm calling him to task as well. He had the nerve to stand in the Gary Chicago airport and say, "Well, up here, while y'all dealing with a lot of wind, down there in Newcastle, they got like 10 inches of rain." Now, Newcastle has less than 7,000 people, all white town, somewhere where I don't know. And frankly, I don't care right now. Frankly, I don't know and I don't care right now. So for him to come up to Gary and tell us what's going on in Southern Indiana, understanding we don't get anything allotted to us, we are uh, basically segregated in our own state and our region in Gary. The Midwest is still one of the most segregated areas in the United States. So us being in Gary in a predominantly in a quote unquote MAGA state where you got the governor, the attorney general,
Mhm.
and you have the lieutenant governor basically just riding Trump,
Yeah.
just daddy Trump, basically.
Wow.
So I'm calling them to task, and everybody has to be held accountable, just for the lack of attention and the lack of resources that were allotted here. We've had crews, we've had electrical line and tree removal companies from all across the country come to Northwest Indiana, uh, Gary specifically. I'm sorry, and let it be known that NIPSCO is doing their job horribly. ComEd workers have posted on Reddit, Facebook, and other places how NIPSCO has actually turned away most of the ComEd workers that came to help and volunteer. NIPSCO, even before this, has been under fire for gas delivery fees and price gouging over the last almost 2 years. The NIPSCO bills have doubled in Gary in Northwest Indiana.
Now let me
They've
ask you
doubled.
this, because NIPSCO, they are also involved in a project in Hobart. Hobart, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Yep.
Indiana, which neighbors Gary, and they're going to be
Yep.
building a data center,
Data center. Yep.
168 acres.
Yep.
So
Data
do you
center. Yep.
think this is kind of part of their move to encroach upon Gary?
Um. Absolutely. There's a lot of when me knowing what I know now and seeing being like I wasn't born in Gary. My parents, they had me in California. They both
Okay.
Gary natives. They had me in California. I came back. I've been in Gary since I was 3 years old. Um, but since I was since I'm this is me. This is where I'm from. They know me on the block from the mayor. They all I've been around. I've advocated and I advocate around the city for different things. But now this has just changed the makeup,
Hmm.
and is looking and I'm looking. I'm like, damn. I'm 32 years old. This is the only time in my lifetime, my entire life, that the city has gotten this much attention ever. And
Yeah,
the
that
only
sounds
thing
about right.
is, we need the problems that we had existed before. So everybody um handing their efforts towards us and our residents, I appreciate that. But the issues are systemic.
Okay.
They really are
And the other
systemic.
question I have for you is I was looking at the FEMA website, or at least the Indiana DHS
Yeah.
website, and they had in there that they were giving people up to $5,000 in assistance. Now, the only news
Yep.
coverage that I've seen has been predominantly Chicago news talking about, but they're talking about Hobart. They'll like touch on Gary. They'll mention Gary, but a lot of the food that and all the giveaways and stuff, people understand that's not Gary. Even though they're saying it is, it isn't. It isn't Gary, Indiana, because there was no electricity there first. They restored everybody else kind of around Gary, but not
Yeah.
Gary, Indiana itself. So have you gotten any type of flyers? Because obviously you guys don't have electricity. Has there been any type of, I want to say, federal, right, workers on the ground saying, how are you guys doing? Because the governor did declare a state of emergency. That included Gary. So have you seen any activity?
I haven't seen any like national presence or federal presence at all.
Wow.
I've seen the Indiana National Guard.
Okay.
I haven't seen FEMA or anything like that. I still don't think we're a nationally declared emergency yet.
Interesting.
I don't think we've been declared nationally. Um, all my people that say uh, black folks do better under conservative governments or Republicans, I will want them to take note as well, because it all depends on how it's set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in a Republican state, but we are in Gary, Indiana. So of course, most of the people vote blue, because some of the Democrats are the ones. It's not just black. It's not just black and white or
Yeah.
red and blue.
Hmm.
So I'm paying attention
Yeah, what
to
I've
the
seen in Indiana is red is at the top, like the state positions are red, but the city and county positions are all blue, if that makes sense. Because South
yeah.
Bend is that way. South Bend is predominantly Democrat, but it is a Republican state, right? People say, well, this is a Republican state. No, it's not. It's a Republican state at the top, not at the local level. At the local level, it is predominantly Democrat. You'd be like, what? You have to throw a whole lot of stones to find
Yeah,
a
so that
Republican
puts
at
us
the
on an
local
island.
level.
Yeah, so that puts us on an island in the state to
Yes.
where we don't, like Indianapolis, of course they have a bigger tax base, but they get a lot of more funding and a lot of just more consideration than Northwest Indiana, because if we've always been looked at as like the rogue part of
Hmm.
Indiana, or we not, or we just not part of Indiana. They'll say openly, "Oh, we part of Chicago." Like, no, we're Gary, Indiana. Like
Indiana.
we Gary. We have our
Yeah.
whole own culture, our own vibe, our own
Hmm.
everything that we bring, our own soul food spots, our own lingo, our own everything. Gary is such a unique experience, um, to where I'm a first, like my even my parents weren't born in Gary.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
no, they were born, but their parents are not from Gary. Like they
Okay.
from, like, my grandparents are from Haytop, Missouri, and
Okay.
Sulligent, Alabama. So it's
Okay.
like so it's like you get Like me, I'm only on my third generation in
Hmm.
Gary, but we're multi-generational where you got people that came from the South and they've been here and they still
Right.
might even have they southern accents, but Gary is home, you know what I'm saying? And it's just you really don't get the feel for Gary unless you actually come here and actually talk to the people and understand like, yeah, it's some of the most brightest uh people that come out of Gary. And if we had more,
Yeah.
and if we had more resources, and so that's why we just getting more
Yeah.
advocates, and we just
Because
doing more.
it always astonishes me. It's like the Jackson Five came out of Gary, Indiana, and it's like y'all can't keep Gary above water. You know what I mean? Because what I see is like a lot of the towns, especially predominantly Black American towns, instead of them burning it down this time, it's like they're just letting it die. Does that make sense? They're just
Yeah,
letting it
we
die.
were like the one of the original like real ghost towns, I guess, like
Mm-hmm.
they called it, to where I it might be other places, but in Gary, especially when I was a kid, it wasn't unusual to see a whole block of abandoned buildings,
Wow.
entire block, nobody living on it. So I kind of understand they'll just pick up and go, and no,
Wow.
no regard for how we gonna make it, because Gary was a factory town in its
Yes.
inception, company town, even to be more specific.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Steel started the town of Gary,
Yep.
to where their workers, the professionals, their professionals and their corporate staff would stay on the west side, and their skilled laborers, foremen, etc., would stay on the east side. Now, this was 1907. Come the 30s, you got people starting to migrate during the Great Migration from
Yes.
mainly Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi,
Right.
Louisiana, Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas. By the 50s, Gary is bustling, and
Yeah.
it's very segregated due to the
Mm-hmm.
change in demographics. And
Right.
you have Black Americans from the South that are reaching a status in Gary, that are reaching a status that other groups don't want them to reach. Um,
Which
my
is
my
crazy
uncle,
because they're always like, Black people need to do better. We have been. We were. But then other people got kind of jealous and we're like, we gotta pull the rug out from under them.
yeah, my uncle, he worked in the steel mills, and like he has a closet full of gators.
Wow.
That's one of the things he did. We do motorcycles, and he ended up getting a closet full of gators. One time he showed me $150,000 cash legally. He had legally. He just had it for emergency. So he's
It was like just in
well-to-do
case.
Black people.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well-to-do Black Americans in the city of
Wow.
Gary. And so by the 60s, in 1967, you see white flight, where you
Hmm.
see where you got the other groups, where because Gary, it had a lot of Eastern, it didn't, quote unquote heritage Americans, might have been a few, but there were a lot of like Eastern European, Greek immigrants,
Okay. That sounds about
Italians.
right. Because there's a lot of Polish individuals that live in South Bend, Indiana. So
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, a lot of Polish immigrants that started to leave Gary, started to go places like Whiting, Hammond,
Hmm.
Hobart, Crown Point.
Right.
1967, Richard Hatcher gets elected, and Richard Hatcher is the first Black American mayor of a metropolitan city. So one of the larger cities that's gaining steam and has really uh, head first in the industrial manufacturing aspect of America. Um, so, just like Gary, it's a lot of cities like Gary, Youngstown, Flint, Saginaw, Cleveland, East St. Louis, Milwaukee, um, Rockford. You got a lot of cities that are just like Gary, who they were built through Black American manufacturing, and those jobs were shipped overseas through
Yeah.
even before NAFTA. It was
Mhm.
white flight and disinvestment. So then,
Mm.
1967, you got Richard Hatcher get elected, and that is when the white flight just takes off. So in 1971, there were towns that broke Indiana code and bylaws to become incorporated, just because you had other groups that white people and other groups that associated with whites that they just could they quote unquote just couldn't be in Gary anymore. So
Because
they
of a
left,
black
and
mayor. That's
yep,
crazy.
and they went into the disinvestment. So
Mode.
between
Okay.
Yep. So by the 80s, my mother graduated from Horseman High School. She graduated in 82. So by right around the 80s, and by then, Gary's reputation started to change.
Wow.
It started to change and become, you know, just a little different as far as how we were presented. And it was starting to be presented as a dangerous city. And in
Mm.
1994, the year I was born, it was the quote unquote murder capital of the world.
Wow. That is insane.
So looking at it now to 2027, 2026 going into 27, we
Mhm.
have a new mayor where this is the first time where, and I'm gonna say this, all of our mayors when they're first elected, it's tough out here. It's tough. It's tough. Our mayors when they're elected, yeah, people rock with them. Right
Mhm.
now is one of the first times in Eddie Milton's term where now we question it, because it's things that need to be done, and we don't just need fluff. Eddie, I
Right.
know you like to come on the Breakfast Club. You've been on the Breakfast Club. You've been on all these other shows, getting Gary up in a bigger light. We don't need a celebrity mayor. We really
Mm.
need we really need real attention, and we have to do a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm not just gonna say, like, yeah, our residents, we could do stuff as well. Like, we could do more as well as people. Of course, it's people everywhere. So I think it's just this is changing the landscape of the city, though, because
Mhm.
outwardly on TikTok and other social media sites, they would make it seem like we're just descending into lawlessness or chaos as our power goes out. No, we clinging to community. Like, we've been barbecuing, we've been doing everything necessary. It's been giveaways. It's been um, everything we could do. Direct, immediate action
Okay.
and mutual aid. To
Are
where
there
we.
any churches
Yeah.
involved? Okay, good, good. Because again, to your point, you don't hear about this on the national news. It's like, okay, unless somebody's showing up with some big truck and it's some possibly well-known NGO, you don't hear about, stories like yours. So I really do appreciate you coming on and letting us know your perspective, right, of what's happening on the, boots on the ground. Because we wouldn't have known that you guys are bonding together and, to your point, barbecuing during the day and saying, okay, who needs what? If there's an elderly person on the block, is anybody checking on them? Just sharing your resources till the lights come on. And again, the lights still aren't on for everybody. So people need to realize that. And in my opinion, for it, anything over 72 hours is egregious. This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. This is going into
Yeah.
like
And
2 week
this,
territory.
yep. And it's really changing the way we banding together as a community, because and I'm not the one like saying this, but this is like that was a I think we all understand like as time goes on, people like mind and just the mindset we in going deeper into survival mode.
Right.
No, we didn't. No, so it was a lot of so yeah, it might have been isolated incidents, but I done I've watched my city now. We on the 12th day where we not fully restored, and we banded together, and we banded together, and folks are looking out for each other. My neighbors right now, they're not even from Indiana. They're from somewhere Illinois, but that's
Okay.
a lot of people from Chicago, South suburbs, have been moving to Gary. Uh,
Okay.
and so we just all getting to know each other a lot better, even more than we did. And I think me, I'm looking at it from a preparation standpoint now to where
Fair.
um, things just change when the lights go off.
Yeah.
Um, the all the preparedness means nothing if you're not in the right community. Us
True.
in Gary, we were in a tight knit community with people that we share ethnic group with, that we connect with, we share everything with. You know what I'm saying? So it's different for those of us that are in places like Hobart,
Hmm.
Cedar Lake, etc. Because none of the gas stations were up here,
Wow.
Maryville, no, and a lot of places. So I drove all the way to Cedar Lake, um, aka Cedar Tucky. That's
Wow.
what it's called out here. It's a whole different just vibe. I had to let one of the white people know out there because I was out there, my girlfriend, we were getting gas, and
Hmm.
we were both at the same pump, and I just hadn't pulled up yet. He got out of his car, he kind of screamed something, hey man, pull up, woo, whatever. I looked at him, I say, hey bro, you watch out. Um, Everybody is going through a trying time. When you see people like me, you speak with respect because we not taking nothing for nothing right now. A lot of the people where I'm at don't even have power. So
Wow.
you just mind yours and be understanding
Yeah.
that
Because I
it can
think,
happen.
yeah, because
You
what a
know,
lot of people don't realize is when the electricity goes out, people just assume that's lights. No, that's lights. That's water. That's your gas stations. That's your heat. That's everything. Everything is
yeah.
gone. Like you have a box, okay? And that's it, a box. You can't flush the toilet. Guess what? Because there's no running water. There's no showers going on. There's just a lot. And when the pumps
We
from the
thankfully a
filtration
lot of
systems are
people
down for a few days, I can imagine the smell that's coming through people's houses as the water begins to flow again. Do you know what I mean?
a lot of people in Gary had gas. Some of our some of our people didn't have gas appliances. So
Right.
we took care of our people that didn't have gas appliances as well. A lot of
Okay.
people were getting like uh, hot plates, etc.,
Right. And that's what I
generators
was
and
saying from the
so yeah,
electricity
yeah,
perspective. Like to
yeah,
your point, if you have an electric stove, you're done.
yeah.
If your house is all on electric, which is very interesting because, there
That's
was
how
a
they're
great
moving. That's how we're
push,
moving. Yep.
right? To everything on electricity is like, no, 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 no. We need more than just one resource because you guys would be like, oh, there's too many people on the grid. We have to do rolling blackouts. I lived through that in Los Angeles. It's not fun. Okay. Just not. We don't want to do that to people. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm definitely going to have you back on again to
Yeah,
give
yeah, we
us
can.
an
I do a
update.
lot of I do a lot of reparations advocacy out here. Trying to spread the knowledge and just spread the just advocating for our people. I'm a Black American advocate, so I take it to myself, and I wasn't quote unquote out in the forefront for this because I
Mm,
didn't want to make. I hated the posting. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
The
Hmm.
posting, it was really. Anytime I felt like I wanted to make a post, it's really stuff that needed to be done. So,
Yeah. Understood.
I'm very appreciative that the word got out because I knew, like, I knew it would get out eventually, but I knew that it was so much work to be done.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not the person to blast it to the world news or get, but I know it's gonna get there. So I just had to focus on. I got 85-year-old grandmother,
Wow.
got 9-year-old son. So I've had to really focus on all our people directly and immediately because I knew it was gonna get out. I knew what our city is, and I know what we stand for, and I know what it was gonna mean when it started to make headline news. And I'm thankful it did, and I'm glad that um we finally getting somebody something like we have contributed so much to the world. And I think that's where you see a lot of our frustration. We've
Yeah.
contributed so much to the world.
Right.
And like we we need investment as well. We
Yeah.
we are out here we were out here almost invisible after everything we've contributed, and that was part of the frustrations. We contribute so much to our immediate area, to the state. We are one of the pillars in the Midwest. We one of the blackest cities in the country. So
Wow.
a lot of the what you hear is decades and lives of frustration of us needing to be heard, needing to be heard. So
Okay.
I'm thankful.
Okay. Absolutely. Like I said, whenever you need a megaphone, just let me know.
Thank you, real deal.
And I will send it to you so we can definitely broadcast it to everyone else. But I'll let you have the closing word on this.
Um, we Gary Strong, man, big 219. Uh, big 219. We Gary Strong. Uh, the city of the century. Um, we just keep kicking. Every time they try to bury us, is no way. There's no way we it's real people here with real
Hmm.
stories that need to be heard, and that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for
Thank
joining me
you,
here on Unfiltered Vision News. And I'm looking forward to having you back on.
thank you. I will be back very soon to give more updates.
Okay. So, guys, that was Vino giving us an update from Gary, Indiana. And I will definitely make sure to keep up with him if you want to. He is on X. You can follow him there. But again, thank you guys so much for joining me here on our recap Monday for Unfiltered Vision News. And we'll be back with Tell It All Tuesday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.